Okay. Okay, okay. Hey guys, it's your girl Michelle Scrother with Scrother Talk #Second Chances. Listen, guys, I know, yep, I'm used to being on a big Sunday. That's okay. I am on a big Wednesday. That's right, on a big Wednesday. The reason I felt like it was necessary for me to come on this week, October, guys. We're in the month of October. So, what better way to celebrate Breast Cancer Awareness Month as well as domestic violence awareness? I have special guests joining me all this week, and I have a special guest tonight. I'm excited to have her get on and talk about her breast cancer, other things that she can kind of spread the awareness of what happened with her. Hopefully, her awareness, her survivor mode, but God
Amen.
can save the next woman. Her
Amen.
testimony is definitely going to touch some lives here tonight because it definitely touched mine. And once again, guys, I'm excited to have you guys joining me on another episode. That's right, another episode of Scrubber Talk. So, with that being said, guys, I'm going to go ahead and introduce my guest. And bear with me, guys, tonight. Somehow my internet is acting up. The enemy did not want Michelle to come on here on Scrubber Talk on this Wednesday. I'm telling you, the enemy did not want me to come on none this week, guys. None. When I tell you from Sunday to Monday to, I mean, like I literally had guests line up. The enemy was busy. Okay. So he's trying me again tonight. Got a little small headache, but it ain't nothing that God can't cure. And ain't
Amen.
nothing that the enemy is going to keep me off of Scrubber Talk doing the work of God. So
Amen.
before we go into anything else, guys, I'm going to go ahead and bring my special guest in. Miss Africa, listen, sweetie, I want you to go in and tell the people how you are a survivor. Not only she's a survivor, God, she's a mother of three. She's a married, seeking divorce. That's all right. This is a Marriage Kingdom podcast. But at the end of the day, if the marriage ain't king doing what it needs to do, God didn't tell us to stay bound. Do whatever
Amen.
we have to do to try to work on it. But at the end of the day, we all know what we can take in a marriage, in a relationship, and any type of ship. We know only us and God knows what we can take. So, with that being said, Miss Africa, please come on in and introduce yourself to the people and let the people know who you are.
Hello, hello, and thank you so much for having me. I'm honored each and every time I have a chance to share a testimony because those were all tests that turned into testimony.
Hmm.
And if it were not for having the strength of God on my side, then Father God, where would I be? So I thank you so much for, first of all, giving me the opportunity this evening. I am Africa Taylor I am coming up to my 50th birthday, God willing, October 31st of this year. I will be turning 50. And oh my,
Okay.
oh my. Right, I am flabbergasted with joy for what God has done for me and what he will do for me. Um, the first 50 years, it kind of makes you sit back and think, half a century, what? But in those 50 years, there's been so much joy, so much sorrow, so much to celebrate, so much to have to lean on your faith for. When you think about
Mm.
50 years, you're thinking about some years. So I am more than honored. A little bit about myself. I am a Sumter native, biological mother of three. I have two sons, one daughter. My two younger children, which is my daughter and son, um, have lived with sickle cell anemia all of their lives, which is a gruesome, cruel. It's a pretty tough disease. You know, when they were babies, they were on my laps. Now that they are young adults, they are on my heart. So I have a lot of experience with sickle cell anemia, losing their father when they were 1 and 2, having to raise them without him. Being ill was a challenge. This is not about sickle cell anemia, but these are the things that make me. You know, these are the things that
Oh,
make me who I am. So I got, dealt with those struggles, and I'm praising God as I'm speaking that they are still here. Statistics show one thing, but God says another. So
woo.
I'm so grateful to still have them here by my side. Leading up to breast cancer, I missed my first mammogram that was scheduled. I was 41, well, going into 41, right after my 40th, and I had a mammogram scheduled. But at that time, my daughter was in the hospital. My maternal grandmother was in the hospital very ill, and she did pass away months before diagnosis, but she was 101, and we were preparing for her to leave us. So there were a lot of events that led into my actual diagnosis. The year prior to getting my first mammogram, I rescheduled that mammogram because I didn't want to leave my daughter on my grandmother's side. I should have went, but I did not. Trying to be there for them, and I let that mammogram go. In the meantime, I was leading into my wedding in the beginning of the next year, and I was extremely fatigued, thinking that maybe it was just, emotions with losing my grandmother because she was buried a week prior to my wedding. And I was running around like a chicken with the head cut off for the wedding and to make sure that everything was okay with the family and getting my grandmother laid to rest. So it was just a time. So I thought maybe I was just overly fatigued with emotion. Months went on. We lost several people that year, 2016 to be exact. We lost a total of 6 people, um, on different sides of the family, but we lost a total of 6 people coming into my October birthday, which is when I had that next mammogram scheduled. And so I was more than overwhelmed. But during that time, I was feeling a very sharp, breathtaking pain in my left breast. It lasted, I want to say, about 9 months before the mammogram. And it didn't happen at a particular time. It wasn't during, with us ladies, it wasn't during my cycle. It just wasn't in any particular time. It was not with any particular activity. It was just sporadic. It came, it went. It came, it went. But it was a
Wow.
pain that would take my breath. It stopped me.
Hmm.
I could be driving and I'd go, ah. And my husband at the time would be like, well, what's wrong with you? And I'm like, there's that pain again. And
Wow.
so I did speak with my gynecologist, which was a female. I spoke with my family doctor, which was a female, and told them of the pain every time I saw them. And they were doing, of course, the exams, the feeling around and all of that. And they never felt anything. So one not knowing what the other was saying, they both kind of agreed that, well, you just turned 40, your hormones are changing, your body is maturing, you're getting up there, for your body to
Correct.
just going through this and that and all the shenanigans. And so I kind of was agreeing with what they were thinking and accepting of that. They said, well, cancer doesn't typically hurt, so we're not going to think it's cancer. And had our older family members talked more about cancer, because I remember, and I remember being a little girl, and family members would have cancer, and your family would say, "Well, such and such has C," and they would try to avoid that conversation around children. At least I know in my family, they were like, so and so has C. They never talked about it openly. But I
Yeah.
come to find out with my diagnosis, had they spoke with us more about what we could possibly face, then maybe I would have had better options. But nonetheless, they said the cancer didn't hurt, and we went on along with that. So I had my mammogram scheduled coming into my 41st birthday, and October 31st is my birthday. So my mammogram was scheduled for October. I just so happened to have been sick, diagnosed with sinus infection through the ER, which was definitely not weird for me, because I deal with sinus infections about twice a year. I get a pretty rough one. So I'm thinking the weather's changing, sinus infection. I went to the ER, was diagnosed. I mean, and I felt horrible. I was running up with fever, the whole nine. So that was a Saturday. And that Monday, I looked on my calendar throughout the weekend. I was like, oh Lord, mammogram coming up. But I feel terrible. At the time, my children were
Wow.
young adults, moved out, husband was at work. The one thing I didn't want to do was jump in the car feeling terrible and drive from the country at the time into the city for the mammogram. And so I laid there feeling bad, and I said, girl, you're going to reschedule that mammogram because you don't feel like going. You feel bad. I didn't even think that I would have had the strength to drive from the country to town. And just as I was trying to pick up the phone to call and cancel, I distinctly to this day remember hearing a voice, and it could not have been anything but the voice of Father God that
Oh
said,
God.
you're gonna get up, you're gonna throw on some clothes, and you're going to that hospital. And as bad as I felt, I got in the car and I drove downtown, and I was kind of upset with myself because I'm like, girl, you feel bad. But then I'm like, it's like that car was driving itself. It was like, you feel bad, but you're
Mm.
going. I
Wow.
made it. Nonetheless, I made it and parked that car and went upstairs. And the young ladies were so, so, so nice. And they were like, you look like you feel so bad. I'm like, yeah, I feel bad, but I'm here. And they did the mammogram. My first mammogram turned out to technically be my last, because upon leaving, I asked the young ladies, I said, well, how long does it typically take to get the results? And they said, well, if you don't hear from your doctor within 2 weeks, make sure you call them. So I'm like, oh, okay, all right. And they said, well, please, we hope you feel better. Go home, get in the bed, get some rest. Exactly. You ain't got to tell me twice. So
Wow.
I'm going home. Well, within 2 days, I
Right.
was receiving a call from my doctor. And they jumped on it like, thankfully. I thank God that they were very proactive. And the call was, well, your mammogram is suspicious. We need you to return for a second mammogram. That was scheduled immediately. And they said, well, if when they do the second mammogram, if they feel the need to ultrasound, they will have you sit there and not get dressed. Oh, I'm a little panicky, but I'm like, oh boy, okay. And got that mammogram and was instructed to sit and not get dressed. And I sat and did not get dressed. And the young lady came back out in the little lobby and she said, well, the technician would like to get an ultrasound. Oh, Lord. Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
When I got that ultrasound, the technician, she started on the left, which I apparently they saw what I felt. And she
Mm.
stayed over there for quite some time. She moved over to the right side. She didn't stay there as long. She came back to the left, stay there some more. And I'm laying there with my hands above my head, and I said, okay, Lord, when are you gonna let them tell me what they see? It was
Wow.
kind of confirmation. So that was then I had to get a biopsy, and that began my journey with breast cancer.
Hmm. Wow.
One I've been through, I started with the doctor in Sumter, was not happy with some of the things that were said and treatment options. So I got a second opinion. Went to Atlanta, got a second opinion. And they suggested pretty much the same things, but their only difference was to do chemo before surgery. And it seemed as though here they were rushing to get me into surgery before the year end because they wanted that copay, the deductible. So we did
Wow.
not go.
Come on.
Yes,
Let's
they were like,
let's talk about it. Let's talk
yeah,
about it. Talk about it. Yeah, let's talk about it, sis. Are you really for me? Or are you really for my money? Let's talk about it. Let's talk about, you
exactly,
know, are you really for me? Or are you really for my money? You know what I mean? Like,
exactly.
yeah, yeah. Let's talk about it. Talk a little bit more about that, sis. And while you're talking about it, can you please let everyone know what stage are you in with breast
I was
cancer?
I was end of stage 2, and it was a rapid growing cancer. And the cancer treatment centers where I went, they were proactive quickly as well, but their target was more towards chemo before surgery versus surgery then chemo. They said we're going to
Okay.
kill as much cancer as we can before we operate on you. I'm
That's
like,
right. Let's
yes.
yeah, yeah.
So I stuck with the second opinion. And during that first consultation with the surgeon here, and I would never, disclose anyone's name, but the first consultation in Sumter, I was scheduled for surgery. My testing was in October, all the tests. I finally got a confirmation November 14th of that year. And they had me scheduled for surgery December. Yes, you need to
Mm,
get, we suggest you remove both because I had a genetic test, and the genetic testing proved that my cancer was hereditary. But I was at an 84% cancer risk. So that's a very large percentage. Yes. It was fast growing. Yes. But can we not kill some of that cancer before you open me?
okay.
So what? Yeah, it was something else. I thank God for guidance, because I would lay in bed between that time and surgery, and every time I would lay in bed at night and couldn't sleep, there was the Cancer Treatment Centers of America's commercial. It would be on every
Wow.
night. Every night in the middle of the night, my husband would be asleep and I would be up. He didn't know it, and I'm laying there and I'm like, this commercial keeps coming on. Thank God we had the insurance that where I could go for the second opinion. But after that, it just went, that's where I stayed from there. So there was a lot of driving back and forth to Atlanta. Oh my God. Oh my God. It was a time indeed, but it was well worth it in the end. And it,
Okay.
it, it was a very sad time.
Wow. Okay. Okay. I hear you, sis. I hear you. And from what my sister, want to say she's 3 years in cancer free.
Glory.
And I still remember she sent me a text message and I didn't hear my phone go off. So she called and she said, "Did you read your text?" And I said, "No." And she said, "Read your text message." So I got up and looked at my phone and I saw where she said, "I have cancer." And if anybody knows me and my sister, we bump heads, but we're very close. So I was like, my heart just dropped. because we've been losing family back to back, you know,
Right.
and no one wants to hear that word C, that cancer. Nobody wants to hear cancer,
No.
you know. So automatically, I just started crying, and my husband, he was like, "What's wrong, babe?" And I just gave him the phone, and he's like, "Oh no, what can we do?" And I automatically got the phone, and I'm from Sumter.
Mhm.
I love Sumter, but I just know that that's not it. Sumter's not where it's happening.
Yes.
My daughter, I have a special needs daughter, and she goes to Levine Children's Hospital in Charlotte, North Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
And when I tell you that hospital is like phenomenal, Levine's, CMC, all of that good. I mean, I just got on the phone and just started calling and getting my sister
Mm-hmm.
appointments. And like you said, the road wasn't easy, but oh my God, we continued to keep going up. We went up that road, honey. And I'm telling you, each time a tragic hits, God just secretly comes and just say, it's going to be okay.
Gonna be okay.
It's going to be
Mm.
okay. And, you
Yeah.
know, it just felt like what she went through. When I tell you she was going through it, she may have felt the damaging pain to her body, but I was feeling the pain to my body as well.
Yeah.
You know, it was just like I was like we were twins. I was like just feeling it. And then my husband, he would always, "Are you okay?" And I'm like, "Well, yeah." I mean, it would be times we're on the phone FaceTiming each other, me and my sister. Or
Yeah.
I'm sitting outside the hospital window while she's up looking out the window at the VA. But I'm telling you, this thing, I mean, we as African American women, first of all, it attacks us. It attacks the. Can you talk a little bit about that? Because you know about African American women, how it attacks us as Black women. Can you
I
help
am
someone out there?
I am not and I need to do the research on the latest statistics. But yes, we it attacks us more prevalently, more so because most of us, unfortunately, a lot of us don't have the insurance for one, or we don't have the know to, we don't have the knowledge, we don't know what our family had. And I
Yeah.
know now to talk about what I tell my daughter and granddaughters anything that I need to tell them about my health because we just did not know. And then when we don't have the resources, when we do find out certain things, it's just unreachable for some people. There's so many different stages of cancer. There's so many different types and kinds. You know, as I said, mine was hereditary, and being that my daughter has sickle cell anemia, she isn't even 30 yet. She's actually coming into her 29th birthday next week. And we found out a couple
Wow.
years ago because of my genetic testing. I made sure her oncologist knew she has sickle cell anemia. Can you all write this letter? Let this insurance know that her mother, me, and I still had cancer at the time. My head was still bald and everything. But I went to the doctor with her, to her oncologist for sickle cell. And he didn't hesitate at all, but I was her voice. Like, I am her mother. I am BRCA2 positive hereditary breast cancer. And I need to know, she needs to know if she has the same gene that I have. I even
Okay.
got my son tested. He's a male, but he has sickle cell anemia and he is going into his 28th birthday. But he was
Wow.
tested years ago. His came back negative, hers came back positive. So therefore, she cannot be denied mammograms. That gives her more of an option to help
Okay.
prevent. So it means a lot. Knowledge is definitely power. Knowledge is power. And I would go through that walk again if it meant me telling her.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
They said,
Knowledge is definitely power, you know. And as I'm talking to you, and I kind of wrote down some things as well as I'm kind of looking, and you know, some of the things that we need to be aware of is like you feel a lump in your breast. I don't care if it's a small lump, a big lump. If you think it's just a mosquito bite, I'm telling you know, and I'm pretty sure you can tell the women too. Go get checked. I don't
yes,
care if it's in your breast, your chest. They say up under your armpits.
yes,
Any changing of your breast, go get
yes,
checked. Anything that you feel up under your armpits, go get checked. You know,
yes.
go
And I
get
didn't
checked.
feel any, I did not feel bad, or any bad rapport when it came to the gynecologist and the primary care that were thinking and hoping that it was my hormones, because honestly,
Okay.
they were sincerely praying that it was my hormones. So it wasn't that they were overlooking it. They just never felt the lump. Just so happens when I did have to meet with the surgeon after the biopsy, and I had to meet with the surgeon, and he was very nice. He said, have you ever felt your lump? I said, no, no one has ever felt a lump. I said, they just told me that, cancer didn't hurt. They didn't feel anything. So he said, give me your
Correct.
hand. And he took my hand and he went right to it on the left breast. And he said, there's your lump. And I was flabbergasted because I never felt it. The doctors never felt it. But being that they saw it, he was able to go to it and feel it. We never felt a lump. So that's that sharp pain that was catching my breath was that cancer. So they
Mm,
said cancer doesn't hurt, but God wanted me to know that there's something in there that you
yes,
don't need in there.
that's right.
And so it was, my options were at that time to remove both breasts, remove one breast, the left breast, or just remove the lump.
Okay.
I was young, just got married, didn't want to lose my breast. So I said, well, we can take them. And then they said, well, we can do reconstruction.
Okay.
I did reconstruction. Oh my Lord. Oh my Lord. That alone almost killed me more than cancer.
Wow.
Oh
So
my God.
so can you tell us where did you go to get the reconstruction?
Yes. Well, I got all treatment at the cancer treatment centers in Atlanta. That's where my
Okay.
oncologist, my hematologist, my reconstruction, everything was under one roof. And
Okay.
I was in surgery for 8.5, almost 9 hours. And that includes having the breast removed and having the expanders put in. So I was in surgery all day. And I had expanders for 2 months. I had to go back and forth to get them injected. Well, during that whole 2 months, there were times I had to go back to my surgeon, my plastic surgeon in Atlanta. I had to go back every week because my body was catching infection, staph infection. I was in the hospital um,
Wow.
twice because I was almost gone from having an infection. And we battled with trying to keep the breast and battled and battled. And till my plastic surgeon said to me very sternly and very unapologetically, he said, if you want breasts, you're going to have to get them from somewhere else. He
Oh
said, they got to
wow.
come out. They have to come out. He wanted to take them the next day. And I said, well, can I go back home and tell my family and prepare? And this was on a Thursday. He said, please be back here Monday. I want him
Wow.
out. And he was not playing with me. And I'm like, looking at him like, what dog? And we had a great relationship. And he was like, I'm not kidding. I will not do anything else to help
Until
you
those
reconstruct. Only
yeah.
thing I will do is take them out.
Yeah.
Because I was the
Yeah.
infection was eating me alive. And it was a bittersweet thing. But then I had to realize,
Wow.
so is it worth me going through with all this reconstruction to end up 6 feet deep with a nice set of boobs?
Oh,
It, it's not worth it.
it's not.
It was not worth
Wow.
it. So until I am 7 years in remission, I have an 84% cancer risk, so they check me every 3 months.
Come
But
on now.
I have been flat ever since. They have
Okay.
bras, prosthetic bras that I could get and different things. I feel like if I'm flat, I'm flat. I
Okay.
guess I'm more of a woman now than I was then.
Come on now, sis. Let's tell the people. Tell the
So, yeah.
people because
And
listen.
it took me a while to get there. It did.
Okay.
It took me time to get there. But now that I'm there, there's nothing that can deter me from feeling like I'm just as much woman as I was when I was 17, 18, when they were just now getting there
Oh,
until now I have nothing. The only regret
okay.
I have is a little flab, where he removed the expanders. I have a little flab under the arms um where he had to take them out and they had already started forming. And at this point I could still go to reconstruction surgery just for cosmetic reasons and to have
Yeah.
all of that
Yeah.
removed. But I will not. I will not.
It's okay.
It's
Listen,
it's
the thing, sis, you are alive, but God,
my
but
God.
God, you are alive, I lost one of my good friends and something. I don't know if you know Jackie Brown.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Yeah, we were really good friends, like sisters.
Sweetheart.
Yeah, and yeah, I didn't know she didn't tell us until mm, kind of like at the end of everything. Like, yeah, she
Wow.
kept it a secret. She kept it a secret. So when my sister told me about it, it was just like, listen, we about to attack that thing head on. Like there's no waiting, there's no nothing. You got to attack these things head on. Am I correct?
Yes.
You,
Yes.
you can't you can't sit and wait. You gotta, what's next? Like you said, you went and got second opinions. You didn't sit and wait on the doctor and something to tell you one thing. You knew something wasn't right. So, and we have to be more aware. That's right, Latoya. Sorry, Miss Fullwood, you did say glory to God. You still, yes, right. Tell her story. That's right, sis. She's here to tell her story. She's here to tell the next woman to go get these boobies checked, guys.
Yes.
If you
Yes.
feel any type of lump up under your chest, up under your armpits, am I correct? Help me out here. Help the women
Yes,
out. Listen,
absolutely.
because I had a lump
Absolutely.
up under my chest and I kept feeling that thing, y'all. I kept feeling that thing. And I was like, Lord, have mercy. My sister is already in remission. I can't go up under this thing. I don't care how strong I look. I don't think I can deal with. And she tries to act so strong, my sister.
Yeah.
And she tried to act so strong. And we rolled that thing out, y'all, with my sister. Like it was me, her husband, and my husband. No one else knew. She didn't want her kids to know. She didn't want my mom to know. She just didn't. She just don't like hugs and all the crying. And she tries to act hard. So
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, I didn't see the pain. I'm literally, guys. I didn't see the pain in my sister until, y'all, I want to say maybe her last go round. Her last go round, like you would not be able to tell that she had cancer because she was dancing, laughing. She was just trying to keep her spirits high. And
Absolutely.
yeah, and I did everything like calling and did you eat? Did you do this? Did you do that? And she would say, and I'm pretty sure you can tell the people how like she had lumps, bumps, and things like that in her mouth, on her tongue.
Honey. Honey.
Oh,
Chemo. My God. My God.
come
My
on
God.
now.
Chemo.
My
And
God.
that's what it is. When you first find out that you have cancer, you're okay. Most times you're okay. And it's most times doing a routine exam, or if you found something that they're investigating and all of that. But once you start treatment, Jesus, chemo almost was the death of me, the death of me again, pardon me. Because after all of my chemo treatments, well, during chemo, I was definitely ill a couple of times as well, because chemo kills everything. It does not know that this is cancer, that is cancer. And everybody is different, but chemo was very hard on my body. My white, everything would drop so low to where it was
Yes.
times I couldn't even get chemo
Mm.
scheduled because everything was too low. Like if they gave me chemo, I wouldn't I wouldn't have made it. So my
Yeah.
chemos were off sometimes because everything had been all off whack. And chemo is something, but the worst it did for me was it caused a blood clot that formed, and it landed me in the hospital.
Mm.
Lord have
Wow.
mercy. I had a wound back on me then because I had so much infection from the expanders, but the blood clot that formed had traveled up my legs, my left leg. Everything is on this left side of mine. The blood clot traveled up my left leg, it shot straight through my heart.
Oh,
And had it stopped,
Jesus. Oh,
I would not be here and I was in the hospital. Luckily, fortunately, I was so sick to where the hospital kept me, and
wow.
then the next couple of days they find out that like the technician that did my ultrasound downstairs that transported me from down to up, and she wasn't supposed to tell me, but she said, Miss Taylor, she said, you're blessed to be alive. And I said, why you say that? And she said, well, I'm not supposed to tell you. She said, but looks like you had a blood clot that traveled straight through your heart.
Ooh,
Luckily, it did not
God.
stop. Luckily, God said, I'm gonna push you right
I
on
need you
through.
here. Yeah. Yeah.
But what it
Mm,
did was
mm.
collapse 7 centimeters of my left lung,
Wow.
non-repairable, non-repairable. So that's why I'm saying oh Lord, I'm just so grateful.
But
There
God.
were so many times that things could have went a different way for me, but God wasn't ready.
Oh, come on
Uh,
now.
oh gosh. It just
Mm,
it brings chills to me to think of how many
yeah.
times the people say, well, Lord, and then I was a small framed
God.
person, so it's like, Lord, your little body just done been, yeah, I've been through, but
Yeah.
nobody but God. God is able.
Okay.
My family took it hard. My children took cancer hard.
Mm,
My children took cancer hard. My mother, she waited until the end. She waited until the absolute end to tell me how scared she was. My dad, he tried to always have this strong air about himself. He would call me every day, and I couldn't talk some days. I didn't have the energy to talk some days, and I just needed to be left alone because chemo,
yeah.
and my body wasn't able to talk, and I didn't want him to hear me cry. And then I would say, Lord, I can't do this. And then, I would stay away from them because I didn't want them to see me cry.
Yeah.
And then I would have to bounce back and say, my children have been fighting for their lives since they were born with sickle cell.
Mm,
So I'd say, girl, you got to fight. You got to
yep.
fight. So that kind
That's
of
right.
pushed me. And then there were days, you have your good days and your bad days. Some people are quiet about their journey. And it gave me a voice because I wasn't so boisterous before. But now I don't mind. I don't mind telling nobody the goodness of God's favor.
Okay.
And I'm very shocked at myself. If somebody asks me
Mm,
to come and do a testimony, I'm like,
come on
sure.
now.
Sometimes I got 2 or 3 and I can't,
Okay.
oh, I can't do
Okay.
it. But I'm very, very, very grateful. And I feel like if it helps one person,
Yeah.
then I'm fine.
One person.
One. One.
Right.
The
Mm,
other thing that I do want to touch on is chemo. Anyone that goes through
okay.
any type of cancer, Make sure that your doctors are checking everything thoroughly once you're done with treatment. Because what happened here again, when chemo did some damage to my heart and lungs and collapsed
Okay.
that left lung, I caught COVID for the first time last year. January of 23, I caught COVID for the first time. I worked in the healthcare, caught COVID for the first time. It took me 3 years. And a couple of months after I recovered from COVID, went back to work, working like a workaholic. I woke up one morning. I said I was going to work. It's 5 a.m. I gotta go to work. I gotta go to work. I gotta go let everybody in, and then I'll go to the hospital. My husband then was like, no, you're going to the hospital.
Yeah.
No, I'm going to work. Honey, I woke up the next morning, in ICU with a ventilator down my throat. Like, why am I here? Where am I? I was strapped to the bed. I must have been fighting.
Wow.
Like, I'm strapped to the bed, ventilated, looking like. When they finally could get the ventilator out of me, and they're like, calm down now, you're awake. Calm down. We're gonna get it out.
Okay.
Then after that, I had to have open heart surgery.
Wow.
I had to have open heart surgery because COVID and chemo did damage to my heart and lungs.
My God.
So when I say nobody but God, baby, nobody but.
Okay. Nobody but God. Nobody but God. Listen. So I hear you keep talking about your husband. Do you care to share light on that? Your marriage. When you were going through your, diagnosed with cancer, how did it affect you all? How did it affect your husband? How did it affect you? How did it affect your marriage?
My cancer diagnosis absolutely crushed him. He was so scared, so hurt, but he never left my side.
Okay.
He never left my side. There was all of those appointments in Atlanta. Praise God, his job was so lenient and so supportive at the time. He did not want to miss one, and he did not miss one. My father, my family, everybody's like, well, we'll take her. You can just stay back and go to work. And he's like, no. I have FMLA. They already know. And he said, y'all can go with us, or y'all can meet us there in Atlanta, that is. Y'all can meet us there, but no. And he was phenomenal. He was absolutely phenomenal. But after, things were rocky. Things changed. I had to deal with a whole lot to walk away. I had to deal with a lot, and it took a lot for me to walk away because I thought this was my forever. But then at some point, God has blessed me too much. God has favored me and blessed me to get through too much.
Okay.
Than to stay into something that is no longer growing. It hurt to walk away, but I had to. Sometimes you have to save yourself. And so I dealt with a lot, and a good bit of deceit, and a lot of stuff that I did not deserve, but nonetheless, all is well. I wish him well. I will be well. And true love still exists. I still believe in love.
Listen, you must be new that I was going to come for you on that.
How they say it, my man, my man, my man. Well, one day.
Oh, listen, I love my man, but baby, I love my husband. Okay? My husband.
That's right.
So, sis, let me ask you something. Did you guys try everything it was to save your marriage, to kind of rebuild your marriage? And I do understand it takes two. So did you guys try everything possible? Because let me say, you're a strong sister, all right? You're a whole lot of woman with these things or without them, because the majority of women, including myself, may not have the strength to go through what you, my sister, and any other women may have faced, which y'all face with cancer. That see, did you try everything that, hey, let's go to counseling. Did you guys exhaust everything?
In my opinion, we exhausted all avenues. And there was limited work that I could have done in the situation.
Okay.
I didn't have any work to do. I couldn't be the one doing all this work
Yeah.
when you got a job to do.
Yeah.
And my request at that time was actually pretty simple and actually pretty fair, to say the least. But then there comes a point where you just have to say, okay, I'm not going to ask anymore, because I know you heard me the first 1,000 times. So it comes a point where you just have to wake up and say, okay, I'm done.
Wow.
Sadly, it was hard. It was rough. It took me through. But I wish him nothing but the best. And I'm looking for my best. This next century, half a century, I don't want to spend it. I don't want to spend it unhappy. Now I'll stay alone and be happy before I stay with someone and be unhappy.
Okay.
Sometimes when certain things happen, it is what it is.
Okay. Okay.
But I still believe in love.
Awesome.
I gotta say that again.
Say it again. Say it again for the people in the back.
I still believe in love. Right. Right.
Okay. I love it. I love it. I love it. Sis. Listen, ladies, if you guys did not hear what my sister Africa said, get those yearly mammograms.
Please.
Get those yearly mammograms, guys. It means the world. Your life is at risk here. Okay. Your life is at risk. So if you're not getting checked on a yearly basis, what are you doing? What are you doing? This thing runs so deep in the African American women, it's things like you said that wasn't talked about back then. As growing up as a little girl, I don't remember hearing the word C.
That's right.
I didn't hear cancer. So now you're starting to hear it rapidly,
That's right.
Rapidly. And I'm gonna say, and I could be wrong, but from what I'm hearing, we got to stop watching what we put in our bodies.
Yes.
Can you talk on that a little bit? The food that we intake?
I do know that nutrition matters. Nutrition matters. And I can't say much on it because I have a lot of work to do in that department that I need to do, because me having congestive heart failure, that diet requires certain things. I also have rheumatoid and osteoarthritis, neuropathy that stems from chemo again. So I have so many things. Some days I feel great, and then there are more other days, man, you wouldn't even know I felt as bad as I felt, because I don't say nothing. I don't get on no pictures, no posts, no nothing. My bad days I don't disclose. My good days, you'll see more of me, but I have a lot of things that I have to deal with. Arthritis looks for, and that's another hereditary thing. Rheumatoid arthritis. I was diagnosed with that at 39, and I'm now 49. So that was 10 years ago. I had arthritis for 10 years. Hereditary. Chemo worsened it. Chemo also added neuropathy to it. So there are certain things that are good for arthritis, but then there are things that are not good for my heart. Then there's other things that are good to fight cancer. And then, so it's just, with me, there's a battle. There's a big battle, and I really plan to if the good Lord opens my eyes on October 31st and I hit that 50, I have a lot of work to do in that department.
Come on now.
Yeah. And exercise is a challenge for me because of the amount of arthritis that I do have, plus me having the collapsed lung and bad heart. I cannot intake a certain amount of fluid. So I cannot hydrate properly to be out here trying to work it all. So I have a very, very, very challenging assignment ahead of me, but I'll work on it. I'll work on it. And I do
God
want to say,
has you.
men,
Yeah.
I kind of fell off of my annual breast cancer luau because of COVID, and my life has been upside down the last couple of years. So I just had so much going on trying to get balance and trying to save a marriage and going through so much to where I haven't been doing my annual breast cancer awareness luau. And I call them celebrating life in color. I will get back to that because it's very important to me. But I do have a male breast cancer brother, a survivor that
Wow.
came. He came. He came from Somerville, and then I had at the same year I had my male breast cancer brother come from Tallahassee, Florida. He drove and stayed the weekend and came and gave his testimony, but he's now gone. So I will be reaching out to some other brothers. But yeah, men.
Wow.
Please get
Wow.
feel on your chest, and you can't get mammograms, but
Wow.
yes,
Sis, I'm over here talking to the women, but let's get into it, men.
yes, yes. My brother
Get
Raymond Johnson.
into it.
I can't remember
Wow.
how many years he survived, but he is a survivor, and his testimony was very powerful. My luau was very, very powerful because the attention that the men got was
Wow.
phenomenal. It was like even me, I introduced them, and I'm sitting here like, whoa.
My God. My
Yeah.
God.
So
I'm over here talking about the women and not realizing, like you just said, men rub on their chest, feel those lumps.
yes,
Um, y'all, we have to learn how to change our diets,
yes,
take care of ourselves, exercise. Man, you know,
yes.
we you want to live. We wonder how our grandparents lived to 98, 103. My husband has a grandmother, a great grandmother that I want, and I could be wrong, but I think she just celebrated 105 years old.
Glory. My maternal
105.
grandmother.
Yeah.
My maternal grandmother passed away that year that I said we lost so many people. She passed away right before my wedding, and she was 101.
Wow.
And my paternal grandmother is still alive, and she's 94.
Mm,
So I
wow.
pray, I pray that longevity.
That's correct. That's correct.
Yeah.
And you know what? A lot of us, we don't realize in the community, it has to be, we have to reach one, teach one. And on top of reaching one and teaching one, when things are going on in the community in Sumter, South Carolina, or Columbia, Blythewood, where I, stay now, but anywhere pretty much, when events is happening, we need to start following up on these events. Like you here in Columbia, you will see that they're doing a pink out. My sister, they just actually had she just had a pink ball, some type of pink ball, and a breast
Yeah.
cancer walk Saturday. We all showed up. It turned out really well, but
Okay.
I just felt like more people would be in attendance if we get the word out there.
Yeah. Yes.
So I'm
This
glad
this
to.
Saturday.
Yeah, yeah.
This
So I'm
Saturday, Sister Strut will be at the Colonial Life Arena. It is free to register. So far there are over 600 people that
wow.
register. It's the first annual Sister Strut sponsored by MUSC,
Hmm.
100.1 The Beat, and iHeart Radio.
Wow.
Well, I ended up being a great big part of it due to a friend that was speaking on my name, and then she spoke on the breast cancer and the open heart, and she showed someone my picture from last year, my birthday pictures, and it shows my scars. And I always say I got a cross because I'm cut from here to here with the breast cancer and from here to here with the open heart. So she showed them my picture, and from there on, it opened up a platform for me to be a guest speaker at the Sister Strut in Columbia this
Wow.
Saturday. It's major. It's the first annual. It's major, and I hope more people will register and come because it's going to be phenomenal.
If you
So
don't
that's
mind,
going.
yeah, if you can share that on my page, I'm definitely going to kind of pass that on to my sister. And hopefully, other sisters will be able to see anybody that's dealing with cancer, anybody that knows someone that has cancer. We can pass this. We got to get the word out with this cancer thing.
Yes.
What earlier part of this year, a young lady, Donna, her name is Donna. Can't remember her last name, but she owned Bella Modeling here in Columbia, modeling agency. But she's from
Hmm.
Sumter, so we went to school together, Sumter. And I remember she asked me to come model my scrubs. But that weekend I was busy. But she was
We got
missing
some
off of
work to do.
Facebook. She was missing off Facebook for a minute, and I, like some people. Sometimes you will miss people, and sometimes it's just like oh, I didn't realize you was gone.
Right.
But I remember in the spirits, it's like I ain't seen Donna in a minute, and then eventually she came back on, and she told us that she had cancer. I'm trying to remember what type of cancer it was. I want to say it was throat cancer. I could be wrong, but listen, the way that thing took her out so fast, it was just like, I'm on here telling you guys, hey, I'm back, but I want to let you guys know I have cancer,
My
lung
girl.
cancer. Thank you guys. Thank you so much, grieving gracefully. It was just like, boom, I got cancer. Boom, it's aggressive. Boom, y'all can come to the hospital to bring me flowers. Next thing you know, I can't have too many people. And then the next thing you know, she's gone.
He's gone.
And we went to school together. I mean, her little voice, I mean, we were just giggling and laughing. And I just remember her asking me can I model, have some of the people model her scrub. Yeah, it was like, you're right, 2 months. It happened like within 2 months of her just like, boom, I got cancer, boom, I'm not here no more. And it's just like, no, and no, like this young lady, I felt like she had so much to offer, so much going on. And it's
it
just
just
like
breaks my heart.
we have to get the word out there about cancer. It's so much work that needs to be done here on earth. It's so much work. And like, I'm from Sumter. Just because I live here in Blythewood, I'm from Sumter, but I'm just seeing what's going on in Sumter. And it's just like, what is going on?
Well, listen, we have some work to do. We have some
What
work
is
to do.
going on?
I will start the footwork to get my get a date for my luau. And I typically do it around my cancerversary. So I'm gonna start working on it. And we have some work to do. And I'm gonna tell you the strongest fighters is anybody that goes through it and their caregivers, because your support system means the world.
It matters. Listen, I didn't even tell you. Yes. Listen,
I've met some phenomenal people.
Wow.
Yes.
Listen, my sister, on her last day to ring the bell, she didn't even know. I had so many of her friends, her battle buddies. When I tell you these women, I just made one call to her battle buddies. She was in the military. And I told them, hey, y'all, listen, this is what's going on. They was like, oh, no. Oh, I'm like, listen, she's ringing the bell. Stop crying. It's over. And why didn't you tell us? She didn't want nobody to know. But
Yes.
can you guys be here at this time? When I tell you about time, when my sister rang that bell and she came out of Levine's, when I tell you the parking lot of women that was in that parking lot and family, when we had on our shirts, she could, I mean, she was so surprised, but it's just the support that showed up for my sister. And
Yes.
it meant the world to me. And I know it meant the world to her. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Support gets you through some dark days.
Yeah.
And if someone doesn't feel like, if they have a dark day and can't talk to you, you can't take it personal, because cancer is a rough journey.
Whew.
It's a
It's,
rough journey.
yeah.
It's workable, but it's rough.
But it's work. Yeah.
Yes. So we got plenty of work to do.
Listen, once we, kind of get off, if you can please, please, please put that on my page about Saturday. I will consistently keep sharing it. I will tell my sister. I will tell her to tell her sisters. It just needs to be a community of women and men connecting together with this cancer.
Yeah.
Outreach of with these young men and women, because there's so many young girls going missing. And there's so many young guys being murdered and killed. It's
Yes.
just like, what is this world coming to? I know they say we live in our
Right.
last days, but come on, man.
Right.
What are we doing if we're not doing anything? Why are we complaining?
That's right. That's right. That's right.
Listen, I'm
Get
so
out and go. Don't let me even get on that. Because
okay. Look,
if you can't make your voice heard, you can't complain.
okay.
So I'm gonna be that there.
That part. Listen, sis, I'm so grateful to have you on here tonight. I'm so grateful for your yes. I'm so grateful that God spared you your life. I'm so grateful that you are a living testimony.
Father God.
I'm so grateful that God wants to use you in rooms. And listen, when I say in rooms, you have already touched rooms where your body has not arrived yet.
Yes.
All right. So you are definitely going to be needed. You're definitely needed. Not only for my podcast, because you're going to be on multiple podcasts. I'm going to tell you that now. You're going to be in multiple rooms. God is going to use you in each season of your life to share your testimony, to save another person, to encourage another person, to encourage another person. And once again,
answer his call.
I'm so grateful to have you on Scrubber Talk. I mean, like, I'm telling you, God is continuing to keep uplifting me to be strong enough to keep coming on this podcast. There's so many days it's just like, okay, God, I don't feel like it today. Or, okay, God, I got a headache. Or, okay, God, I got so much to go do. Like, I literally, when I'm finished here, I have a special needs daughter. I got to go upstairs and take care of her real quick, get her going. And then I got to come on and get my husband food situated for him when he walks through that door. But you know what? But God, the grace of God. And I'm going to keep going. I'm going to not complain. I'm going to keep stepping in rooms. I'm going to keep showing up on this podcast. I'm going to continue doing what God tells me to do until he said, okay, you know what? Enough.
Thank you so much.
Yes, I want to say thank you.
It was an honor. I had a long day because I had a funeral today, and it was rough. It was a young lady, my daughter's friend, young lady, like a daughter to me, in and out of my house, And her funeral was today, and it was a pretty lengthy one, but it was amazing.
Wow.
And the message was amazing. And I was so tired. You tire easily with heart disease, tire easily with arthritis. So I was like so tired. But I said, well, I ain't that tired. So I'm now I'm getting ready to get comfortable.
There we go. Yes. And listen, I'm so grateful that God gave you rest so you can come on and tell your story. So your story is definitely going to help the next woman, the next man. And listen, we're locked in. I'm looking forward to seeing you on November the 2nd. If you know any other woman that wants to come out, get to know who they are, sit around other amazing women, eat some good food,
Yes,
listen to other people's testimonies, pass out business cards. Tell them, listen, what
I
are they
will.
waiting on? Get their tickets either on Eventbrite. They can cash at me, lock their
Okay.
seat in. Just show up. Come on. We got to know who we are because we've been told so many times who we are or who we're not.
That's right.
And I'm in my 40s and I clearly know who Michelle is today.
Amen.
Yeah. So
Amen.
listen, again, it was I'm honored to have you on my podcast. And
Thank you.
yeah, yes, ma'am.
I'll
You
see you
have
soon.
soon, sis, soon.
Yeah.
Have an amazing, amazing night. And again, guys, thank you guys so much for tuning in on a big Wednesday night for another
Yes.
episode of Brother Talk. Listen,
Amen.
guys, it's October. October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. October is Domestic Violence Month. Listen, guys, we didn't even touch bases on domestic violence with this young lady, but we're gonna be back. We're gonna be back. Listen, guys, we're coming back. And again, I say thank you guys for tuning in.
All right. Good night.